SpongeBob SquarePants never set out to tell a crime story. But somehow, in between the jellyfishing and the karate chops, it accidentally created one of the most stressful, hilarious, and compelling murder heist thrillers to ever air on TV. This is the story of the Nasty Patty, and it is so much wilder than you remember. It all starts on what the narrator calls a dark and stormy night, but immediately we're thrown into a bright and sunny morning, which is just a perfect little bait and switch. It tells you right away that the darkness we're about to see isn't in the weather, it's in the hearts of our characters. At the Krusty Krab, Mr. Krabs is in his office taking a bath in a tub full of money. He's sniffing the air and he doesn't smell Krabby Patties, he smells something far more terrifying: the health inspector. The moment he yells, "The health inspector's here!" Mr. Krabs, wrapped in nothing but a towel, bursts into the kitchen screaming orders. "Wash your hands, clean the floors, change your underwear." It's an immediate explosion of paranoia. Now let's be real for a second. SpongeBob makes a very good point. He says, "But Mr. Krabs, there's no reason to worry. The Krusty Krab is the most perfect place in the universe."
But Mr. Krabs, there's no reason to worry. The Krusty Krab is the most perfect place in the universe.
And from what we've seen, SpongeBob keeps that place incredibly clean. The problem isn't the sanitation. The problem is Mr. Krabs' guilty conscience and his absolute terror of being shut down, of losing his precious money-making machine. He shoves SpongeBob out to deal with the inspector, a calm, professional-looking fish named Andy Yellowtail. Mr. Krabs tells SpongeBob to pour on the charm, and SpongeBob, in his infinite innocence, walks up and says, "What can I get for you, handsome?" It's such a perfect SpongeBob line, and Mr. Krabs' reaction, a simple facepalm, and a declaration of "We're doomed," is the perfect punchline. SpongeBob's earnest attempts to do good are constantly being undermined by Mr. Krabs' frantic, greedy scheming. The inspector, unfazed, simply asks for one of everything on the menu. A normal restaurant owner might be a little stressed by this, but they'd comply. Mr. Krabs, however, sees this as a battle for the soul of his restaurant. What follows is a montage of SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs aggressively force-feeding the inspector. "Try the Krusty Kelp Dog, sir. The buttered barnacles are a touch of heaven." It's a hilarious and slightly disturbing display of over-the-top customer service driven by pure fear.
Try the crunchy kelp dog, sir.
The buttered barnacles are a touch of heaven.
The powdered driftwood is
The inspector just wants to do his job, but he's being waterboarded with fried foods. He finally gets them to back off so he can work in peace. After eating a mountain of food, he declares that so far, everything is good. He just needs one final item, a plain Krabby Patty. Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob are ecstatic. They're in the clear. They start dancing, doing the can-can in full dress, celebrating their impending victory.
We're in the clear.
They've passed. The Krusty Krab is safe. And this is where the story takes a hard left turn into true crime territory. Just as they're celebrating, a news bulletin comes on the TV. The fish news anchor announces that there's an imposter going around, pretending to be a health inspector to get free food. The anchor says, "Well, that's all for now," and the camera zooms in on Mr. Krabs' face. His eyes turn bloodshot, the background turns a fiery red, and he whispers the two words that trigger his transformation from a business owner into a potential monster. "Free food?" This is the moment the episode stops being about passing an inspection and starts being about revenge. SpongeBob suggests they should just tell their inspector about the phony, a rational, normal thing to do. But Mr. Krabs has already jumped to a conclusion. "You loony loofah, he is the imposter. We've been duped."
You loony loofah, he is the imposter. We've been duped.
SpongeBob immediately gets on board. Duped? Bamboozled! And then SpongeBob delivers one of the all-time greatest lines in the show's history.
We've been Smeckledorfed.
We've been Smeckledorfed. Mr. Krabs' response is perfect. "That's not even a word, and I agree with you."
That's not even a word, and I agree with you.
In this moment, they are united. They are a team. But they're not a team of restaurateurs anymore. They're a team of vigilantes, convinced they've been wronged by a con artist. They peer through the kitchen window, watching the inspector, and their commentary is just petty and hilarious. I bet he never changes his underpants. I bet he bites whale bubbles. I bet his mom bought him that hat.
Look at him. I bet he never changes his underpants.
I bet he bites whale bubbles.
I bet his mom bought him that hat.
It's this juvenile trash talking that builds them up to what they're about to do. Mr. Krabs grabs a Krabby Patty and declares, "If that imposter wants a Krabby Patty, then by Neptune, we'll give him one." And here he makes a choice. He could just kick the guy out. He could call the police. But no, his mind goes to a much darker place. He decides to create a punishment so foul, so disgusting, that it fits the crime of getting a free meal. He warns SpongeBob, "Join me, boy, or you're fired." And this is where SpongeBob faces his moral crossroads. SpongeBob, our good, pure, bubble-blowing hero, hesitates. He knows this is wrong. But the threat of being fired with the twisted charisma of Mr. Krabs is too much for him. He picks up a jar of seahorse radish and says a line that is legitimately chilling when you think about it. It doesn't seem right, but it feels so good. That's it. He crosses the line from innocent bystander to active conspirator. He's getting a thrill from being bad. And so begins the creation of the titular Nasty Patty. Mr. Krabs starts with a dash of volcano sauce. SpongeBob adds a heaping spoonful of seahorse radish, the gnarliest stuff in the ocean. Mr. Krabs, not to be outdone, runs to his office and comes back with a jar of toenail clippings. As if that's not enough, SpongeBob accidentally drops the patty in the toilet. And does this stop them? No. Mr. Krabs tells him to fish it out, and then he proceeds to dry it with his own filthy gym socks. The final product is a monstrosity. A green, bumpy, foul-looking burger. SpongeBob, beaming with a twisted sense of pride, says, "I call it the Nasty Patty." They put clothespins on their noses and giggle like school children who just pulled the ultimate prank. But it gets so much crazier from here. SpongeBob, trying to act casual, rushes the Nasty Patty out to the inspector. The inspector looks at the patty, says, "Ah, hello, delicious. Come to Papa," and brings it toward his mouth. In the kitchen, SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs are watching with glee, waiting for the moment of impact. But then, something completely random happens. A housefly, just a regular old fly, buzzes into the scene and flies directly into the health inspector's open mouth. He starts choking violently. Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob, oblivious to the fly, think it's the patty doing its work. Listen, he ate it. They peek out the window and just revel in his suffering. Oh, look at him choke. Look at him suffer. The inspector, still choking, stumbles backward, slips on some condiment packets, and smacks his head hard on the corner of the table. He falls to the floor, motionless. The fly, its job done, buzzes out of his mouth. SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs are still laughing their heads off. They think this is the greatest prank ever pulled. They saw the whole thing, but they completely misinterpreted it. They are living in their own reality, a reality where their Nasty Patty is so potent it can incapacitate a man on sight. It's in this moment of twisted victory that their world comes crashing down. Another news bulletin flashes on the TV. The anchor says, "We interrupt your laughter at other people's expense to bring you this news flash." The bulletin announces that the fake inspector has been caught, and they show his picture. It's a completely different fish.
To bring you this news flash, the fake inspector has been captured. Here is his picture. If a health inspector comes to your restaurant and he's not this guy, he's real.
The anchor clarifies, if a health inspector comes to your restaurant and he's not this guy, he's real. The laughter dies in their throats. The color drains from their faces. The man they just tried to poison, the man currently lying unconscious on their floor, was not a phony. He was a legitimate health inspector. SpongeBob thinks they can just explain everything and have a good laugh. Mr. Krabs knows better. "I don't think he'll be laughing, boy." "Why, sir?" And Mr. Krabs delivers the line that officially turns this dark comedy into a murder story. "Because that patty killed him." They both scream. They peek at the body, scream again, and immediately the blame game begins. Mr. Krabs, deflecting responsibility, tells SpongeBob, "What's this we stuff? You fed him the tainted patty. Looks like it's the Stony Lonesome for you." SpongeBob rightly points out that Mr. Krabs told him to do it, but Mr. Krabs retorts with the ultimate coward's defense. "Well, you could have talked me out of it." It's so perfectly in character for him. He is incapable of taking the blame for anything. SpongeBob, being SpongeBob, immediately caves and accepts the guilt. "You're right, Mr. Krabs. I'm guilty. I'll never survive in prison. They'll mop up the floor with me." Mr. Krabs, seeing that his partner in crime is about to break, shifts gears from blaming to planning. He realizes they're in this together, and there's only one way out. "Get a hold of yourself, boy. We've got to get rid of this body before anyone sees it. We've got to take it out and bury it." And just like that, they've graduated from pranksters to conspirators in a murder cover-up. The episode cuts to them on a dark, muddy hill, a place the police later refer to as Shallow Grave Road. The name itself is a perfect little morbid joke. The cover-up is a disaster from the start. SpongeBob, the germaphobe, is completely grossed out by the icky and corpsey body, spraying it with disinfectant and handling it with a tiny tissue. Mr. Krabs orders him to start digging, and SpongeBob gets to work. He hits a big rock, and Mr. Krabs tells him to just toss it aside. SpongeBob heaves this enormous boulder out of the hole and it flies through the air. At that exact moment, the health inspector starts to regain consciousness. "Oh, where am I?" Just before the giant rock lands squarely on his head, knocking him out cold again. They literally commit assault while trying to cover up a murder they didn't even commit. They finish burying him, but Mr. Krabs notices his head is still sticking out. SpongeBob's excuse? "I thought he might need some air." This line is so innocent, so stupid, and so funny it almost makes you forget they're burying a body. After a brief, insincere eulogy where SpongeBob starts bawling, Mr. Krabs lays down the law. No one, and I mean no one, can ever know about this. It'll be the end of you, it'll be the end of me, and worst of all, it'll be the end of me. Again, classic Krabs. Even facing a murder charge, his primary concern is himself. But just when they think they're in the clear, the flashing lights appear. 2 police officers have found them. This is it. They're caught red-handed. SpongeBob clings to Mr. Krabs, crying that he's too young for jail. Mr. Krabs tries to play it cool, asking what the charges are. And then the tension is completely deflated in the most SpongeBob way possible. The cops aren't there to arrest them for murder. They're arresting them for not being at the Krusty Krab to make them some Krabby Patties. It's a dumb cop joke, and Mr. Krabs forces a laugh. But their relief is short-lived. It starts to rain. The rain turns the dirt on the shallow grave into mud, and the health inspector's body, buried upright, begins to slide right down the hill toward the police car. They've gone from panicked to relieved to pure terror in the span of about 30 seconds. The cops offer them a ride back, telling them to just toss the muddy shovel in the trunk. This is their chance. Mr. Krabs distracts the officers while SpongeBob, screaming internally, has to deal with the body that has just slid to a stop right behind the car. He shoves the body into the trunk, slams the lid, and tries to act natural. SpongeBob is visibly shaking. Mr. Krabs, trying to cover, says he gets carsick. Then Mr. Krabs makes his next critical error. He tries to give SpongeBob instructions in what he thinks is a clever code. He winks and says that when they get back, SpongeBob should take that shovel around to the back and stow it in the freezer. The code is paper thin, but it's the only thing he can think of. SpongeBob does not understand subtext. He says, "I understand, Mr. Krabs, but what do you want me to do with the And Mr. Krabs has to physically pinch his lips shut before he says the word body.
Bring it around to the back entrance and stow it in the freezer. Understand?
Mr. Krabs improvises, yelling about bottles of soda, and tells him to put the soda in the freezer. He and SpongeBob share a horribly fake, nervous laugh, and you can just see the cops in the front seat getting suspicious. When they get back to the Krusty Krab, the plan immediately falls apart. SpongeBob takes the body to the back door, but it's locked. He has no choice but to go through the front. What happens next is one of the most brilliant and absurd sequences in the entire show. SpongeBob enters the Krusty Krab wearing an enormous, comically tall hat. The body of the health inspector is stuffed inside it. The two cops are still there, just chatting. Mr. Krabs sees SpongeBob and, through gritted teeth, asks why he isn't taking care of that shovel. SpongeBob explains the door was locked and then announces he's going to go put his hat in the freezer. SpongeBob is completely off balance, struggling to stay upright. The weight of his sin, literally resting on his head, is threatening to topple him at any moment. Mr. Krabs is sweating bullets, trying to distract the cops by laughing and saying SpongeBob is a real cut-up. He even resorts to his ultimate panic move, giving away money. He declares it open cash register night and shoves his profits into the cops' hands just to keep their eyes off SpongeBob, who is now struggling to fit the giant hat through the kitchen doorway. Just as SpongeBob disappears into the kitchen, the situation gets infinitely worse. A call comes over the police radio. It's a report about two ghouls burying a stiff over by Shallow Grave Road. It's them. The cops now have a report about the exact crime they just committed. But before they can leave, one of the officers, Nancy, wants a soda. Mr. Krabs gives her one, desperate for them to just leave. But then she delivers the 5 words that seal their fate. Hey, there's no ice. Mr. Krabs completely loses his mind. Ice? Ice? You want ice? Is that what you want? SpongeBob slides back into the frame, like a ghost, and reports, "The dark deed you requested is done, sir." It's so melodramatic and so poorly timed. Officer Nancy, annoyed, says she'll just get the ice herself from the freezer. Mr. Krabs throws his body in front of the freezer door, barricading it. He's a cornered animal. There is no ice. There's never been any ice. Ice is just a myth. Officer Nancy shoves him aside, remarking, "You people act like you've committed a murder." And that's all it takes. The pressure is too much. Mr. Krabs cracks, "Okay, I confess," and immediately points the finger at his accomplice. SpongeBob killed him. SpongeBob, betrayed, fires back, "What? You can't pin this whole rap on me." The whole criminal enterprise dissolves in an instant, and they're reduced to children tattling on each other. He was insane, out of control. It was all Mr. Krabs' idea. As the argument gets more ridiculous, SpongeBob yells out the biggest secret. He wears curlers to bed. They finally confess the whole story. "We killed the health inspector, buried him, and then stuffed his body in the freezer." The cop, now completely done with their nonsense, simply opens the freezer door. And it's empty. There's nothing inside. All that panic, all that guilt, all that screaming for an empty freezer. The cops think it's just some kind of bizarre joke. Officer Nancy even quips, "Say maybe he turned into a zombie and walked out." Everyone has a good laugh at the absurdity of it all. The tension is finally, truly gone. And then, of course, the health inspector walks in. He's groggy, disoriented from being knocked out twice, but he's very much alive. "Hey, you guys!" And everyone, primed by the zombie joke, freaks out. It's the zombie! The cops, who should know better, immediately resort to savage violence, hitting the poor guy over the head with an anchor in a barrel. They only stop when they realize he's not a zombie, just a very confused health inspector. And what does he do? He presents them with his clipboard. On it, the word "pass" is checked. After everything they passed, the whole ordeal, the nasty patty, the fake murder, the burial, the cover-up, it was all for nothing. They were in the clear from the very beginning. The episode ends with everyone celebrating and the health inspector getting hit in the face by the door one last time, because of course he does. The narrator signs off with the perfect summary of the entire affair. Well, that's the story. Yes, they are all idiots, aren't they? And he's right. They are. But their idiocy gave us one of the most tightly plotted, surprisingly dark, and endlessly hilarious crime stories ever put to animation. The sheer panic and paranoia that Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob experience, the lengths they go to cover up what they believe is a murder, it's all played for laughs, but it touches on surprisingly dark themes. They aren't evil, they're just incredibly stupid and self-serving. It just shows how one tiny bad decision, making a nasty patty, can snowball into a full-blown supposed murder investigation. The humor comes from their complete lack of competence in pretty much everything, especially committing crimes. So sometimes the biggest trouble you get into isn't because you're malicious, but because you're just a couple of clueless goofs who thought they could outsmart the system and themselves. If you enjoyed this video and want to see me break down the SpongeBob episodes everyone hate, click the video on the screen.